Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Watchtower Examination. This is the first of two videos I will be doing in relation to an article that a Jehovah's Witness friend posted on his WhatsApp status with the question, what do you think? I decided to publicly state what I think. There are two problems with the article. In this video, I discuss the delusion of Jehovah's Witnesses that they describe as Christian neutrality. In the next video, I will zoom in on how the Watchtower cunningly uses the scriptures to deceive. First, the Christian neutrality delusion. This article is inundated with lies and proves once again, as recently pointed out in video 1065, that Jehovah's Witnesses do not put much thought into the plethora of lies being told to them by the governing body. I'll give you a few examples from the get-go.
Why do Jehovah's Witnesses maintain political neutrality? Jehovah's Witnesses remain politically neutral for religious reasons, based on what the Bible teaches.
Not true. Not based on what the Bible teaches, but on what the Watchtower's twisting and manipulation of the scriptures to suit their dogma falsely claim the Bible teaches. I will provide the evidence in the next video. The lies continue.
We follow the example of Jesus, who refused to accept political office. He taught his disciples to be no part of the world and made it clear that they should not take sides in political issues.
That is laughable on two fronts. So delusional. You refuse to accept political office? Really? Who is offering you political office, Jehovah's Witnesses? Which Jehovah's Witness has ever been offered political office? When? Where? You can only refuse to accept what has been offered to you. Secondly, you all seem to forget what you claim about 1914, about Jesus accepting the biggest political office on planet Earth. The article went back to when Jesus walked the earth on his first coming, but seemed to have totally forgotten their pivotal year, 1914.
The Lord's Day began when Jesus was enthroned as king in 1914 and runs to the end of his 1,000-year reign.
Dear Jehovah's Witnesses, not only do you teach that Jesus accepted political office, but the greatest political office in the history of the universe. And as for when he refused political office when he walked the earth, how about you following the example of Jesus and never getting married?
We follow the example of Jesus, who refused to accept political office.
Jesus never got married for the same reason he never accepted political office. And that reason is that he came here on a special mission. To refuse to do something because Jesus refused to do it is an empty-headed decision in and of itself. Jesus never built a house, so I guess all homeowners in the Watchtower have committed a grave sin, have they? Do you see how silly this doctrine is? But it is more delusional than silly.
As representatives of God's kingdom, commissioned to proclaim its coming, we remain neutral in the political affairs of all countries, including the one where we live.
Oh, really? Here's a political affair in the United States that has been a political affair for a long time. In fact, it is such a politically charged subject that I run the risk of viewers now missing the point I am trying to make here, that Jehovah's Witnesses are not neutral on this political matter, in this political affair. A very sensitive issue, the political affair of abortion.
let's pick up on another issue which divides you and the justices that whoever ends up winning this election appoints could have a dramatic effect there, and that's the issue of abortion.
Right.
Mr. Trump, you're pro-life, but I want to ask you specifically, do you want the court, including the justices that you will name, to overturn Roe v. Wade, which includes, in fact, states a woman's right to abortion?
Well, if that would happen, because I am pro-life and I will be appointing pro-life judges, I would think that that will go back to the individual states.
But I'm asking you specifically, would you
If they overturned it, it'll go back to the states.
But what I'm asking you, sir, is do you want to see the court overturn? You just said you want to see the court protect the Second Amendment. Do you want to see the court overturn Roe v. Wade?
Well, if we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, that will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, I strongly support Roe v. Wade, which guarantees a constitutional right to a woman to make the most intimate, most difficult in many cases, decisions about her health care that one can imagine. And in this case, it's not only about Roe v. Wade. It is about what's happening right now in America. So many states are putting very stringent regulations on women that block them from exercising that choice, to the extent that they are defunding Planned Parenthood, which, of course, provides all kinds of cancer screenings and other benefits for women in our country. Donald has said he's in favor of defunding Planned Parenthood. He even supported shutting the government down to defund Planned Parenthood. I will defend Planned Parenthood. I will defend Roe v. Wade, and I will defend women's rights to make their own health care decisions. And we have come too far to have that turned back now. And indeed, he said women should be punished, that there should be some form of punishment for women who obtain abortions. And I could just not be more opposed to that kind of thinking.
I'm going to give you a chance to respond, but I want to ask you, Secretary Clinton, I want to explore how far you believe the right to abortion goes. You have been quoted as saying that the fetus has no constitutional rights. You also voted against a ban on late-term partial birth abortions. Why?
Because Roe v. Wade very clearly sets out that there can be regulations on abortion so long as the life and the health of the mother are taken into account. And when I voted as a senator, I did not think that that was the case. The kinds of cases that fall at the end of pregnancy are often the most heartbreaking, painful decisions for families to make. I have met with women who, toward the end of their pregnancy, get the worst news one could get, that their health is in jeopardy if they continue to carry to term, or that something terrible has happened or just been discovered about the pregnancy. I do not think the United States government should be stepping in and making those most personal of decisions. So you can regulate, if you are doing so, with the life and the health of the mother taken into account.
Mr. Trump, your reaction, and particularly on this issue of late-term partial birth abortion.
Well, I think it's terrible. If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby. Now, you can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me. Because based on what she's saying and based on where she's going and where she's been, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month on the final day. And that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases. And using that kind of scare rhetoric is just terribly unfortunate. You should meet with some of the women that I've met with, women I've known over the course of my life. This is one of the worst possible choices that any woman and her family has to make. And I do not believe the government should be making it. You know, I've had the great honor of traveling across the world on behalf of our country. I've been to countries where governments either forced women to have abortions like they used to do in China, or forced women to bear children like they used to do in Romania. And I can tell you the government has no business in the decisions that women make with their families in accordance with their faith, with medical advice, and I will stand up for that right.
CBS News reported on a poll about how Democrats and Republicans view their political party. Among the findings is that 83% of Democrats want their party to focus on defending abortion rights. 59% of Republicans want their party to focus on opposing abortion. I posted the link to the article in the description. Are Jehovah's Witnesses neutral on this political issue? I think not.
When Thomas and I first learned I was pregnant, we were both really shocked. But then we grew more and more excited. And we were so thrilled when we saw our little girl for the first time. We really didn't care if it was a boy or a girl. We just wanted the baby to be healthy. Unfortunately, our hopes were completely destroyed when the doctor told us that the baby would likely be born with severe problems and could even die. My husband and his parents are not Jehovah's Witnesses, but they do feel abortion is wrong.
Don't worry, we'll support you, we'll be with you all. But this is a difficult situation.
Still, they thought that we should listen to our doctor's advice. I couldn't believe this was happening. I even questioned why Jehovah would allow it. I really felt it was more than I could bear. Thomas asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him that I could never have an abortion. He agreed that normally it would be wrong, but felt that in our situation, God would understand. I was so overwhelmed. I was being pressured to make a decision I knew was wrong, but that everyone was telling me was best for my child. I had never felt so alone. I needed Jehovah more than ever, so I poured out my heart to him in prayer. And then I did research. I showed Thomas the scripture I had found. If men should struggle with each other and they hurt a pregnant woman, if a fatality does occur, then you must give life for life. Jehovah views even the unintentional killing of an unborn child as a serious sin. So how could we intentionally take the life of our child? I made my decision clear to our doctor.
Thank you. I'll have a look at that later.
And to my in-laws. There was a chance the diagnosis was incorrect, and I'd love to say that that's what occurred. But it did not. My daughter Chloe only lived a few weeks after she was born, and losing her was the hardest thing I've ever had to endure. But Jehovah gave me the courage to explain my beliefs to my husband my in-laws, and the medical staff, and they all expressed admiration for my strong faith. And I've never regretted the decision I made. Even though Chloe only lived those few weeks, I'm so grateful for the time I had with her. I know Jehovah remembers every detail about her, and he'll give her back to me in the resurrection, in perfect health, because all life is truly precious in his eyes.
One of the issues in the political debate is whether there should be exceptions for rape, incest, or health concerns of the mother. As you can see, Jehovah's Witnesses are not only on one side of the political issue, but on the extreme side, for they believe that abortion is wrong even if the health of the mother or child is at risk. The issue here is not whether you agree or disagree with the witnesses who will give you strong arguments for their position. The issue here, ladies and gentlemen, let's not lose focus. The issue is whether Jehovah's Witnesses are delusional about their neutrality on political issues, or if they take political sides, even if inadvertently. Another politically charged issue in the United States is homosexuality, same-sex marriage.
I have friends who are in gay and lesbian partnerships who've said to me, isn't it unfair that we don't have similar legal rights to inheritance, to visitation when one of the partners is ill, to health care benefits? And that's why I'm thinking about it, and my mind is open to taking some action that will address those elements of unfairness while respecting the traditional religious and civil institution of marriage.
The fact of the matter is we live in a free society, and freedom means freedom for everybody. We don't get to choose and shouldn't be able to choose and say, you get to live free, but you don't. And I think that means that people should be free to enter into any kind of relationship they want to enter into. It's really no one else's business in terms of trying to regulate or prohibit behavior in that regard. The fact of the matter, of course, is that matters are regulated by the states.
I'm not for gay marriage. I think marriage is a sacred institution between a man and a woman. And I appreciate the way the administration signed the Defense of Marriage Act. I'm going to be respectful for people who may disagree with me. I've had a record of doing so in the state of Texas. I've been a person that would have been called a uniter, not a divider, because I accept other people's points of view.
I agree with that, and I did support that law. But I think that we should find a way to allow some kind of civic unions. And I basically agree with Dick Cheney and Joe Lieberman. And I think the three of us have one view and the governor has another view.
I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. But I also believe that because we are the United States of America, we're a country with a great, unbelievable constitution with rights that we afford people, that you can't discriminate in the workplace. You can't discriminate in the rights that you afford people.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, and so does John Kerry. I also believe there should be partnership benefits for gay and lesbian couples in long-term committed relationships. But we should not use the Constitution to divide this country. No state for the last 200 years has ever had to recognize another state's marriage. This is using the Constitution as a political tool, and it's wrong.
Do you support civil unions or gay marriage?
I do not. I do not. I think that they impinge on the status and the sanctity of marriage between man and woman.
So you would want to take away someone's rights because you believe it's wrong?
I don't put that interpretation on my position, but I understand yours.
I will tell Americans straight up that I don't support defining marriage as anything but between one man and one woman, and I think through nuances we could go round and round about what that actually means, but I'm being as straight up with Americans as I can in my non-support for anything but a traditional definition of marriage.
Let's try to avoid nuance, Senator. Do you support gay marriage?
No, Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage. We do not support that.
I do not favor marriage between people of the same gender, and I don't favor civil unions if they're identical to marriage other than by name. My view is that domestic partnership benefits, hospital visitation rights and the like are appropriate, but that the others are not.
I am absolutely comfortable with the fact that men marrying men, women marrying women, and heterosexual men and women marrying men all are entitled to the same exact rights, all the civil rights, all the civil liberties. And quite frankly, I don't see much of a distinction beyond that.
I've been going through an evolution on this issue. I've always been adamant that gay and lesbian Americans should be treated fairly and equally. At a certain point, I've just concluded that for me personally, it is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
Again, Jehovah's Witnesses are not neutral in this political affair.
Look, Mom. I drew our family in school today.
Oh, wow.
I didn't have time to finish Caleb's face. Carrie drew two mommies. She told me they're married to each other. My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels. He wants us to be happy, and he knows how we can be happiest. That's why he invented marriage the way he did.
You mean one man and one woman?
Exactly.
Now, Jehovah's Witnesses will say, we have a position, but we do not participate by voting one way or the other. That is what we mean when we say we are neutral. Now, you have a right to decide to vote or not to vote. My bad. I forgot. That right was given you by the state, but it has been taken away from you by the Watchtower organization. If you dare to vote on any of these issues, the consequences will be grave. But that brings us to yet another delusion. By electing not to vote, you are making a political contribution. You are voting with the majority. If you believe something is wrong, but take a decision not to participate in the decision, you have decided to go with whatever the majority decides. Watch this. You are invited to vote on a moral issue that has now become a political issue, and your response is, I will not vote for the protection of babies or for the rights of women because I am no part of this world? Or, I will not vote for marriage between one man and one woman because I am no part of this world. Or I will not vote on the fate of immigrants, including those fleeing violence and poverty in their country, because I am not of this world. Jesus never taught me to be indifferent to the plight of others because I am not of this world. That is Watchtower hogwash. I thought, as Christians, we were to take a stand for what we believe is right. How do you remain neutral and put up a hard fight for the faith?
Put up a hard fight for the faith.
Oh, instead of putting up a hard fight for what is taught in the Bible to be morally acceptable, Jehovah's Witnesses are being told by David Splain to put up a hard fight for the doctrines of the Watchtower organization by covering up their eyes and ears from former Jehovah's Witnesses who will tell them the truth about the Watchtower organization.
The United Nations organization is described as a disgusting thing because it claims to be able to do something that only God's kingdom can do, bring world peace. And the prophecy says that the disgusting thing causes desolation
because the United Nations will play a key role in the destruction of all false religion.
You see, Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses will tell you things about the organization that are true that the governing body will never tell you. For example, the hypocrisy of telling you how you are not part of the world and so you should not vote, while teaching you that the United Nations is the disgusting thing spoken of in Bible prophecy, yet secretly behind your back making application to be associated with the very thing they tell you is of Satan. I dare you to put up a strong fight for the faith and defend that. Regarding the lie that the Bible supports their Christian neutrality delusion, I will address that in the next video. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's becoming increasingly difficult to do these videos. I've been trying to do this video for a week now, but pain has made it quite difficult. I edited this video partially from an airbed beside my desk, and that is the reason I did not shoot a video, but recorded the audio. I need your support on this, guys. Fighting it on my own is a challenge. Until the next video, please take very good care of yourself.
Every man, therefore, that hath heard and hath learned of the Father cometh unto me. Not that any man hath seen the Father, save he which is of God. He hath seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life.
May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.